Hello dear book dragons. It's been a month since I made a video. I haven't really had the time, or more like the energy actually, to make a video. And has felt a little bit like I put a lot of energy in doing them, but it's not very many people actually who comments on my videos. Actually hasn't been anyone commenting on the last two videos, which I felt a bit sad about. So if you do listen and if you do like it, please write something to me. Write about the books you liked this month, or what do you think of the books that I'm talking about, or maybe give me books you think I should read. Yeah, it would be so nice if you give me some feedback or anything really. So, and I wanted to show you my new dress that I bought recently from Son de Flor. I think I have 4 dresses from them now. They're very expensive, but they will also hold for a very, very long time. So yeah, this is a little bit special with the checks. Did you say that? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, at the end of November, I had come over 100 books this year. 20. I think for the last 2 or 3 years, I've actually read 120 books every year. And I was like, before I started writing down what I read, I didn't know how much I read. So I was really surprised how much I read. And of course, it doesn't matter how much you actually read. But as I love reading and I read all the time, obviously that will amount to quite a lot of books. And some books takes a lot of time and some books takes a day. So, I mean, depends on what you read and how often you read. And some are just for a light fun, and some are you learn a lot about. Learn from. Anyway, so from the middle of November, because I was still feeling like I wanted to read witchy reads, even in November. You can read witchy reads any time of the year, but I usually always read extra more witchy books in October, and I think November is perfect for it too, of course. Anyway, I read a little classic, Lolly Willows by Sylvia Townsend Warner. This is a pretty little edition. It's Penguin Classics. We have this cloth bound. I think I have 2 or 3 more of these. They're really sweet. Anyway, this book was really strange actually. It's the first half of the book, or maybe first third of the book, it's this Lolly. Well, her real name's Laura, but her nephews or nieces call her Lolly. And in the beginning of her book, her father dies, and then you kind of go back in time from before he died, and you get to see how she was brought up in a quite rich family, and she had a very carefree, very free upbringing for a woman in England in the beginning of the 19th century, 20th century, sorry. In English it's different than in Swedish. I don't know exactly what year it is actually, but that's kind of how it feels. So it's quite a lot about this family, which is quite a strange family, and she loves reading. She just reads a lot, and she reads about witches and about nature. She's very obsessed of nature, I would say. I just want to check what I wrote down about it, because I actually forgot to read in my diary before making this video. Not checking. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was an interesting book, but it was also so strange. Yeah, so after her father dies, she moves to London to live with her brother and his wife, and she just becomes the aunt. She kind of forgets about herself, and she just do what they say, and it's quite sad, I would say. And but after several years, she has this sudden wake up. I think I don't remember, but I think she's in a shop where she buys flowers and hears about this village out in the countryside, in the Chiltern Hills, and she just decides, I want to move there. I don't want to live in London. She's never really liked London because she was brought up out in the countryside, and she loved that, and she loved herbs and experimenting with herbs and just learning a lot about that. And so that's like a wake-up call for her, and she goes there first for a kind of holiday, but then she just stays. She stays in a house where is a family, or a couple living, and she's their guest, kind of a little bit strange. And she really likes staying there, and she gets to know some of the villagers a little bit, but she's still kind of on the outside there. And yeah, so this is really a book about going your own way, being a woman going your own way. And but the odd part is when she goes out in the countryside. She's really annoyed by her because her nephew comes to visit, and suddenly she feels like she can't be herself anymore, and she can't tell him, let me go home again, I want to be here on my own. For some reason she can't do it. She hasn't really grown up anyway, and so she goes on this walk without him, and she's really angry, and she somehow makes a deal with the devil, who is out there in the country. Which I find so strange. I mean, just the concept of the devil is just really strange for me, and that he should be a part of nature is the strangest thing I've ever heard. So yeah, that was weird. And apparently there's a lot of people in this village who also are witches, because she kind of becomes a witch, and after that pact with the devil, she gets her own cat who finds her. So she gets her own what's it called? Animal. Yeah. So it was just very strange, but it was interesting, very different. Yeah, and I was kind of disappointed at the end because it was such a abrupt end. So that's why I gave it 3.5 stars. It was like, it's good writing, it's interesting writing, but just this concept about the devil and this abrupt end got it under 4 stars for me. But I can still kind of recommend it. If you want to read a bit kind of different book. Then I read a kind of dark gothic tale, but still sweet. The Witchwood Knot by Olivia Atwater. I read several books by her before, and this is set at the same time in London, 1800 something. Maybe it says here. There's those books like Half a Soul and 1,000 Stitches. They're very sweet, very cute, even if the fairies are a bit bad. They're not like evil. And I would say the evil person in this book is not the fairy either. It's the man who owns this house, the witch would not. And this is dark on several levels, so if you're not comfortable about reading about children being abused, even if it's quite short, like it's like you go back in time to Winifred's childhood, because this book is about a woman called Winifred, and she comes to this house, the Witchwood Hall, to become a what's it called? Not a nanny. She's going to be a teacher for this lord's son, to protect him from fairies, really. And she knows the old woman living in this house. We don't know so much about her, but I don't recognize her name, but it was quite a while ago I read the other books. But she does mention people from the other books. So I would say you should read those books before you read this book. You don't have to, of course. You definitely don't have to. But you understand the world a bit better. This was really, really good. It was really interesting. I give it 4.8 stars. And it's also a little bit romantic. But yeah, it's sweet. It's this strange fairy kind of living in this house. He's called Mr. Quincy. He's a very odd fairy because he doesn't react to iron. So we don't know really what he is. And this knot, which would not, it's a complicated story. I can't really explain it so much, but it's kind of ghosts in the walls. She has a little dead cat who is her guardian. She is kind of a wizard, you could say. And for some reason, the head wizard in London has been banned, and there's a new head wizard, and we don't know who that is or why. It's quite a lot of things we don't know. And well, of course, everything is solved at the end, but it was intriguing. It wasn't so easy to know what was going to happen and why things had happened, and I mean, you could read this fast and then read the other books, but I think you would definitely understand more and recognize some fairies if you read the other books first, especially Half a Soul. So I read Half a Soul before you read this book. And if you wanted a little bit more spooky book and then Half a Soul, I really, really recommend this. You should read it. It's really good. It's really good. I look forward to read more by Olivia Attwood. Yes. And then I read a totally different kind of book. Lucy Dillon book. I read in Swedish. I usually prefer to read authors who write in English in Swedish, but usually for some reason it's much cheaper to buy translated books in Sweden. So the original title is Irresponsible Adults. And if you have read anything by Lucy Dillon before, most of her books are really sweet, cute books. It's set in the same city, Longhampton, or town I would say, that she has made up somewhere in England, south of England, I guess. And most of her books are full of cute dogs. And unfortunately, this book is not full of cute dogs. I mean, there are dogs, but they're definitely not. They don't take very much space in this book. So this book is about a young woman called Robin. She's the typical little sister. I got quite emotional by this book. I'm also a little sister, and that's not why, but well, maybe. She is very chaotic and but very nice and very kind, and you realize very early in the book she's going to lose her job. She's met a man who's not good for her, and I saw that miles coming, that this man is not a good man, and I was quite annoyed that she didn't see that. But she loses her job, so she starts working for her sister's company, which is a cleaning company, and if it's something she's really bad at, it's cleaning. So it's kind of funny in that way. And she gets a colleague who is so pedantic, and so you have to do this, do this, do this, do this, and she gets so annoyed at him. But he is very, I mean, he understands her better than she realizes, I think. And there's a lot of things happening in this book. I mean, the part it's kind of fulfilling to read about someone learning to clean. I really kind of felt like that. Oh, I am actually a much better cleaner now than when I was younger. Even if I'll never have a house that's totally clean all the time, and I don't need to. But I have a very good boyfriend who's better than me. So we have much more. We have it good. Anyway, so yes, this is very emotional in between the sisters. I got quite frustrated with her older sister because she's so angry, and we don't really get to know why she's so angry until towards the end of the book, and then it's very emotional. A lot of new things coming out that we had no idea about at all. So it is a very emotional book, and it's also about grown-up ADHD. And I would say, because I've been working with people with ADHD for almost 20 years, that this author, she knows quite a lot about what she's writing about. And for Robin, who has never really understood that she might have this ADHD, it's a revelation for her, and because also all the people she meets when she's cleaning, because she goes home to different people, cleans her home, and that's the best part of this book. She gets to know this old man who's really sweet, and telling her about all his family who's never visits, and she cleans for this family which is always chaotic, and that's where she learns about ADHD, and a lot of things happening, and yeah, I really enjoyed this book, even if there was two little dogs, but I gave it 4.2 stars. I want to read her next book. This is actually not her latest book. She has a new one, and I hope there will be more dogs. And I really feel like reading her all the books. There are some of her books that I've read several times that I really love. So those were the last books I read in November, and so far in December I read 2 books, and the first one is the first book in a trilogy, a fantasy trilogy that I've been having in my bookshelf for years, that I found in a second-hand fantasy bookshop. And I bought several books, quite a lot of books when I was there, and I haven't dared to go back there because it's a dangerous place. Anyways, so this is Daughter of the Empire by Raymond Feist and Janny Wirtz. And Raymond Feist has also written another series, which is, well, it's not set in the same world, but it is connected to this series. And I haven't read that series, so my friend who recommended this book, told me that there will be some things in this book that will be kind of a spoiler for the other series, but that's okay, and I must agree with her. it is okay that I was spoiled. But just so a warning, if you don't want to be spoiled, read his other magician series first. And even if this is a fantasy book, it's not very much about magic. It's mostly a book about politics. And this world in Kalavara, I think it's called, Kalavan, it's kind of like a Japanese old society where everyone has their place from slave to master. And Mara, who is the person we follow in this book, in the beginning of the book, she's going to join this kind of a convent, really. Well, one of the goddess follower. But just before she puts her, I don't know what it's called. Yeah, just before she joins, the soldier from her family comes to fetch her because her father and her brother has been killed. So now she is the ruling lady of the Akoma, which her family is called the Akoma. So that's quite a shock, of course. She didn't want to be a part of that politics, and suddenly she's the ruling lady. And so this first book is a little bit of getting into her role and avenge her father and her brother, because even if it was people from another world who killed them, it was actually her family rival enemy who made it happen. So this is Minwanabi family, who's been her family's enemies for generations. And now she's reading like, I have to protect my family. I have to get more soldiers because there were a lot of soldiers, of course, killed also in this book. And it's really, really interesting. I put down 4.8 stars. I'm almost finished with the second book, and I would say the second book is even better, much better. Well, it's better in the way that, because in the first book she doesn't even think about the lives for her slaves, which kind of annoyed me a lot. She's a kind, compassionate person, but she's been brought up in a way that she doesn't reflect of the people she doesn't see at all in this book. But in the second book, she meets new people. She meets slaves who are from this other world, and of course they don't behave like slaves. For them, it's not a failure to become being caught in a war, because in their belief, if you're being caught in a war, you should kill yourself. If you become a slave, it's your own fault, kind of, and which means you did something wrong in the past life. So they believe in the world wheel of time, which Kevin in the second book, and from his world, it feels a little bit like medieval Europe, more like. They don't believe in the wheel of time, and so they're so different how they think about life, and it takes quite a long time for her to accept that he could behave in ways he shouldn't do because he's a slave. He shouldn't behave in different ways. But so in that way, I would say the book 2 is so much better, even it can be a bit slow at times. But yeah, I'm coming to the end of the second book, so it'll be really interesting. And then, of course, I'm going to read the third and last, which is not very long. It seems like the second book is the longest book. be interesting to read. And so that's the books I've read so far. And then I'm reading a classic Russian book with my classic book group that I'm a part of. And I've also started reading a book by Oscar Wilde, just by myself. And I'm going to read in December a book I read every December, which if you want to join me, that would be great. It's The Dark is Rising by Susan Cooper. It's such a classic fantasy book set in England in the 70s. Well, it's written in the 70s, so I guess it's set then. And it's Christmas, it's winter, and it's Will's 11th birthday when strange things happen. It's a really, really good book. You can also listen to it. It's been, I think, BBC has made like a radio theatre of it. I haven't listened to that. And yeah, I also want to read a book about Narnia. Well, it's not about Narnia, it's about the author C.S. Lewis and a child who wants to believe in it. And yeah, I want to read several books during Christmas, of course, towards the end of this year. So I guess I'll see you again, maybe at the end of December or just beginning of January probably. And then I'll also make a video of my favorite books of the whole year, of course. So yeah, I'll probably see you next year. And please let me know something of your thoughts about books this month. Bye.